Hello frontend, welcome back. Previously we talked about page properties. We are able to finalize it, and in this tutorial we are coming to talk about field properties and how we can mess around with it. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share this video, like and comment below. And if you like to support us, of course, feel free to do that. But without further ado, let's get started. So first thing we want to do is we want to explain what we mean by field. Okay, this is a table, and inside a table there is fields. Okay, ID on its own is a field, first name is a field, last name is a field, information is a field. So all these things are kind of, let's assume it as when you create a table, it's like you are opening, it's like you are creating a book. Then inside your book you have small pages inside those books. So these are the pages. Okay, I'll assume that this is a page in this book. All right, so that's how it looks like that. This is the table and these are fields inside this table. All right, but we can remember that we talked about list page, view page, add page, edit page, and each of these pages houses all the fields. But depending on the page you are, the field will behave differently. Okay, let's assume you are on a list page, so the field will come in form of a list. Are you getting it? So these are the field. First name is a field, and these are the field: black, blue, Cynthia. They are all under this first name field, and this is the last name. So inside this last name field we are housing just the last name, that is Smith, Knight, and okay, talking about the date as well. We are housing dates there. There's no way this last name will go and put its content inside the date field. No, so they are kind of how will I put it, sectioned. Okay, that this guy will houses this and this guy will houses that. All right, so when we are on a view page, when we are viewing a data, as you can see, we are all seeing the same field again, but it is no more in columnar form. Now is in rows. On first name is a one row, last name is a row, information is a row on its own, date is a row on its own. So let's go back again and let's go to add page. Now these are those fields again, but they are not listing information to us again, but they are like taking information from us and putting it inside our database. The same thing goes on if we are to go to edit slash one. The information, the data is not there, but what if we talk about edit slash six? So at this point these are the fields again, but this field are showing us this data in case if we want to make some changes to them. So depending on the page you are, the field functions differently, but it's all about the field and its data, and that's all. Okay, let's get it like that so that we can move on to the next thing we want to do. Under this field you have the options of making a whole lot of changes. Okay, we are going to start with the list page, and we are going to start with the ID. That is the first field of this list page, followed by the first name, last name, information, and date. So when you want to make some changes concerning this guy, you can simply come and do it over here. Okay, let me show you what I mean by that. Now this is the ID, okay, and this is the first name. So I want this ID to behave differently. Now we are kind of channeling down to each single data. Okay, let's pick this ID now, which is ID number 8, ID number 6, or anything in this ID field. We want it to be a link. Now let me show you what I mean. So we pick this ID, and we come over to field link, and we move down and we say field link to current record detail. So when we preview it again, as you can see, it's now blue in color because it is now housing a link. There is a link attached to it. So when we click on it, boom, as you can see, it's now taking us to a page. So something this guy cannot do, this guy can now do it, which is the link. And we can decide to give this guy the same link, or this guy, or any of them. So moving forward to what we have for the day, we want to look at how we can make use of the field page and its properties, kind of set it up. So we are going to start with the first option we have here, which is the display. By default, its display is the plain text. So we can move the plain text to images and we can preview it. Now these IDs have come in image format, but we didn't give it an image path or SRC, so it won't actually show us any image. But as you can see, it has come in IMG format. All right, so we can go on and on and on, something like the star rating. You can decide to give it, yours might be 5 like this, and I'll make it 10 so that you get what I'm saying. So it's going to change the format from IMG it was before. It's going to change it to stars, as you can see, and some of the stars are colored while some of the stars are not colored. What makes them colored is the ID they are bearing. Let's remove the star rating again off. Let's put it to plain text. So this guy houses 4, this one is 6, this one is 8. So when we put the star rating, it's going to rate the star of this value. The same thing will rate the star of this value, which is 6, the star of this value, which is 4. So let's go back and put it to star value again, star rating. Now this is 4, 6, 8. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one is 4, and this 5, 6. So this is 6, this is 7, 8. So at this point, I'm sure I assume that you understand what is going on. So you can go on and on and on and choose the display type you like something like progress. Yours might be the maximum value will be 100, but I will reduce mine to 10 and I will preview it. And when I do that, see this, as you can see, it's now in progress, kind of a progress bar, right? So just think about which project you might be making and you need something like this. You can go on and choose relative dates, check button, custom, and so forth. Is a whole lot. Okay, and this is for my own case, I'm going to use a plain text so that we can move down to the next thing we have, which is sortable. So now to make an option or to make a field sortable, this is what it's going to do. Let's preview this. You see, as we move from 8, 6, 4, therefore it sorts um, kind of descending. It starts from top and is counting downwards. Okay, if we want it to be count from number 4, number 6, and number 8, therefore we want it to count, or a kind of want it to sort from up to down, which is ascending. So let me show you. Why not, let's put it on and see how it looks like. So this sortable, we make it true and we preview it. All right, as you can see, by default it's still the way it is, but when we click on this guy, so you can see that's the descending. It is in descending form now. So when we click on it again, it's now in ascending form. Therefore 4 will come first, 6 and 8. Isn't that nice? It's nice, but wait, can we do that with this field, with this field, with this field? Of course, yes, we can. In fact, let's start with first name and let's make it sortable. Sortable, true, preview. So we have it here. So as you can see, it's now as descend. It's now in descending form, which C comes before B and B, What if we want ascending, then B have to come first before B, before B? Okay, so that is how it works. What if we change this guy to A line? Therefore, in ascending form, this A line will come first. Descending form, B comes before A, and ascending form, A comes before B. So that is how it works. Okay, so you can choose to make all your fields sortable. So by just going to last name, make it true, going to info, sortable, yes, going to date, sortable, yes, and we preview them. All right, now you will notice something. You will ask me, why is it that my date says 7 hours ago and your date isn't the same? Yeah, the reason is because if you want to have something like that, you can come over to this date. Look over here, I've set it to relative date. The display type, I've made it relative date. If I'm to move to plain text, which yours will be, I will get exactly what you guys are having. So you can just go forward and set yours to relative date like this, and you move forward and you get it like this, which says 7 hours ago. And just look at what happened when you hover on it. It gives you the human related date, which says 29th August 2020. All right, and that is much specified, kind of much specific. Okay, so the next thing we want to do here is let's come over to the ID. We have talked about field link. We are now coming to talk about format record field. Okay, you can decide to format this, but the best place to talk about format is the date. So I will take this date to plain text. Let's preview it so that you see how it looks like. So this date is now in plain text. Now we want to make use of this format record, so we want to set it to human date. Okay, and we preview it. Look at watch out, you have moved to 29th August 2020. All right, the same thing applies here. Human time, human date and time. As for our own, let's go to human time. Okay, now is giving us just the time. It has taken the date off and is now giving us just the time. What if we move to human date and time? So it's going to combine the date and the time. It's 29th August 2020, 5:19. All right, we can move on and go to date format, whereby year comes first, before month, before day, before hour, before you can decide to make this guy M, and decide to make this guy Y, and decide to make this guy D, and you can add more. Let's preview it and see what I'm talking about. So the month, which is M, comes first, before the year, which is Y, before the D. I changed my D from small letters to capital letters, so it's now giving me the day's name. Is it Saturday? Is it Sunday? Is it Monday? So that's what we are having here. You can go on web and search for date formats with PHPRad, and if you can get that, then you can come inside this guy and you can type a lot of all you have gotten online. We can change this D again to L, small letter B, capital letter L, and preview to see what it look like. As you can see, we are having 1 1 1. All right, so what if we want to change it to small letter L? So we are having Saturday. Now you have written it in full. Saturday, Saturday, Saturday. Okay, so what if we want to put it back to D, capital small letter D? Therefore it's going to say the actual date, which is 29th 29th 29th. So you can do a whole lot on this field format, okay, especially under the format date. You can just go online and search PHP format date, or you can search date format in PHP. It is a whole lot on web. You can get a lot of them and you can do whatever you want to do with it. So over here to the field footer expression, I will show you what I mean, but I will only do that with this guy. Because of what? This guy is housing a figure is housing an integer value. Okay, so let's come over to this field. We have talked about format record, and the reason why I'm using this price because it houses numbers on it, and that's why, because we are coming to use field footer expression. Let me show you. Records, price. So we have prices here. That is the numbers, and because of these numbers here, we want to make use of the footer expression, because the field footer expression deals with numbers especially. So let's start with it, open it, and then come over here to sum field value. You don't need to do anything, just select this and select this guy, just leave it the way it is and preview it. So it will come below it and sum all the total of this guy and give it to you below. Because we remember what we chose. We chose this. We chose the sum field record. So it's going to sum all of them. What if we chose average? Therefore, it's going to calculate all of them and divide them by 2. Okay, so let's preview it now. Is an average. I think the average should be 250 or 200. Oh, okay, that's 200. That's the average. So 300 plus 100, which is 400, divided by 2, which is 200. What else can we do with this guy? We can do a whole lot. We can choose the maximum value of the field, which is 300. This is the maximum value, as you can see. And we can decide to show us the minimum value, which is 100. Alright, so that's how you can mess around with field footer expression. And by default, the thing says minimum price. If you are on sum, it will say total sum. You can decide to remove it and say hello, and total price is my Alright, just trying to show you that you can mess around with. You say hello, total price is all right, so that's what you can do. A whole lot of them you can do with these guys. And again, when you are working with things like this, you definitely end up doing exactly what a lot of people have done, but you don't have to worry much about it because we are talking about basics here. We just want to grasp the concept and get our feet solid on the ground. Then we can talk about doing heavy work with PHPRad. Alright, moving down to the next one, which says field header icon. Okay, let's choose our account and let's choose this first name, and let's come over to this field header icon. Over here, it allows you to choose the icon you want to have on the top of your table. So over here, the first name, this first name, as you can see the icon here, we just added it. If we like, we can add an icon to this last name. Our last name, we can add an icon here. We can add this emotional icon over our last name. You can see it on top. So it allows you to put an icon to the table. All right, so moving forward to the next thing, and our property list is the column width or class. This become important if you want to style the entire column. Let me show you an example. This guy is bold. What if you want this guy to be bold as well? Right, you become good with this section if you know more with PHP Bootstrap, or if you know more of Bootstrap, or if you know how to create your own class and use those class. Let me give you an example. I've typed bold here, so it's going to make everything in this row to be bold. Oh my god, it didn't come. Why? I don't know why. Column width, or let's say test primary. All right, we couldn't get the effect. I'll understand why, because this guy works when you are using a grid form. Remember, we talked about the grid. If we are using grid, that's when it works for us. But since we are not using grid, it won't work. This is tabular list. So the next thing we have talked about the column with the display label. You can decide to change this display label to something like this: last name preview. So this guy will be last name, unlike this guy that is continuous. There has been a space in between as we made it. Okay, moving forward to master relationship, we will talk about this as a tutorial on its own. Okay, we'll make a tutorial on this guy. It's all going to be under this basic tutorial course we are making, but it's going to house its own tutorial so that we will move in depth and how you can use it. So remember we talked about we spoke something about inline edit over here. Now they are giving you the option to set each field inline edit properties. So for example, you don't want this first name to have that inline edit. You can just come over here, make sure you have selected the first name, come over here and set it to false. And when you preview it, the inline edit in first name have been taken off, but that of last name is still there. All right, so you can come over to the last name as well and toggle it to false, so you won't have it on the last name as well. Meanwhile, it's still on other field. So ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have to talk about the field page or the field properties. And remind you that whatever we have on the list page is the same thing we are going to have on the view page. Okay, they are definitely going to be the same thing, but the add page and the edit page, they are quite different from what we have in the list and the view page, because these guys are posts. They are kind of posting information, unlike this one that is more of getting information and just showing you information. This one will collect something from you and it's going to post it there. Okay, so in our next tutorial, I'm going to talk about the field properties of the add page and the edit page. So the best way to have things to be good in a course is to do more examples and practice as much as possible. If you meet a problem while practicing what we have done here, feel free to comment below, post your question in the comment section below, and we'll look into it. Okay, so I will catch you guys in the next tutorial. Just feel free, go and take a drink, and let me see if I can get a drink, or maybe you can buy one for me.